Chapter 6. I was beginning to grow weary of the church life. Several months after joining, I was tired of the same 20 songs on organ and tambourine. I was tired of associating with people I had nothing in common with, other than sharing the seats in the church. Putting in the effort to shout and raise my hands and jump during songs every service, and praying for 30 to 60 minutes before church just wasn't inspiring me anymore. Same thing for one other relative. Some relatives were, quote, on fire, meaning were giving their 100% to the church activities. They noticed I hadn't been so on fire lately. I don't remember what my response was. In a service, I just clapped my hands and sang, and it showed that I wasn't super engaged with God. I should be so absorbed that I'm oblivious to my surroundings. Since not putting in 100% was as good as hell, something had to be done to get me back on track. The on-fire relative staged an intervention. While it might seem like I could walk away if I didn't want to conform, my life situation wouldn't allow that. I would have to openly be hostile to people I had to live with on a daily basis. Pushing away church members was one thing, but family was another matter. One evening, my lack of zeal was brought up. It was imperative that I avoid hell, and something in my behavior must change. As the relatives began to weep and exhibit anger at the same time, I was told that we would not be leaving the room until we had, quote, touched God. This meant jumping, shouting, and crying with such concentration that the surroundings melted away from perception. I wouldn't be leaving the room without that. My relatives began to shout in other languages at the top of their lungs. The weeping turned to wailing. They came forward and put their hands on me to pray, and pressure me. I was in a bit of a pickle. I didn't feel the zeal I was supposed to have. However, I knew what I had to do to escape the situation. I had to conform. I felt deeply ashamed and couldn't bring myself to shout. Instead, tears streamed down from my closed eyes. This was not difficult given the guilt that was placed on me, and the sensory assault of intense volume and emotion in a smaller room. In church, when I was especially emotional, I would sometimes get shaky hands. I learned this was just how my nervous system reacts to extreme intensity. However, this was counted as being under the power of God. I was able to accentuate it to either fit in or as a way to release some of the pent-up energy from the service environment. It eventually became a tool that I felt let me channel God's power into someone. I raised my arms and let my hands shake while I prayed quietly. This was bad because quiet prayer generally meant you were ashamed of God. I definitely felt shame. With very loud shouting just feet away from my ears, I nearly blacked out. This whole experience is shrouded in a feeling of darkness. The memory feels like those dreams where you have trouble seeing and moving. I also have no memory of most of what happened for weeks afterward. I remember feeling the weight of expectation on our way to the next service. When we got there, I performed. I performed quite well. I don't remember if I received praise after or if there was just quiet approval, but things were different now. I wasn't questioning what to do anymore. From that day forward in my church career, I became perfect. I must have pushed this memory out of my mind because I didn't even remember it happened until years later. It was said that this was done out of love. They were also acting out of the fear the church had reinforced about hell and stepping out of line. They were doing it to save me from ultimate destruction, and I had no logical leg to stand on against it. The anger expressed was billed as intense love and care. Next, as I became truly on fire, I would begin hearing answers for my life and the lives of others directly from God.